Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to design a match 3 level in SALTR game editor. First, you need to create the level. Go to game editor on the left pane, hit the add level button, enter the name, token, and create the level. Create board pop-up appears. You may create multiple boards. I insert the token that is already agreed with the developer. Let's call it main board. You will notice that the default orientation is set bottom left. I leave it bottom left, but you can change if you want to set your board to appear upside down in the game. Then I define the cell size of the asset on the board in level editor. This does not affect the size of asset in the game. I will set 50 pixels so my items are visible enough. Set the number of columns and rows in the level and hit save. My board is created now. These are the parameters of the main board. You can always change them here. Now we need to fill the board with assets. Go to Assets tab. Let's upload the 3 main assets in our game: green, red, and blue. Also, I will upload one obstacle, then gets cleared when you make changes near it. Here it is. Upload it. Based on the game, the assets may have multiple states. In our game, we want to have a red radial bomb. For that use case, we want to add radial red bomb state and nest it under the red regular asset. For each state, you need to upload its corresponding RPs. Let's go back to our level. Now let's place the items we have just created on the board. You can use either the chunk brush or the asset brush. The asset brush lets you place static items on the board, and no matter how many times you reload the level, it will always appear in the same cell. Tap on the asset brush. You see the assets on the left. Let's choose red. Note that you can click on the drop-down menu and see all the asset states. I want to have 3 regular red items and 1 red radial bomb in the middle of my board. I select them to place on the board. Then I can select my obstacle and place it as well. Hit save if you are done with placing fixed assets. Now I'm going to create a chunk, so I choose the chunk brush. I select the area of the chunk. Now let's define the rules within this chunk. I choose to have green, red, and blue. Let's choose the chunk to have 3 green items and rest to be divided between red and blue in 1:2 ratio. Let's save and see what happens. Use fill chunks content to see how the rules we have just created set work for this chunk. Note that the fixed assets never change their position. Let's create another chunk where we want the distribution of the items to be random. Save, and the main board is ready. If you want to edit the chunk or fixed asset, you can right-click or double-click it. Use chunk brush if you want to edit the chunk size. Use the cell blocker to shape your board. I'm also going to create an appending board, which gives the possibility to define the upcoming items once the main board items are cleared. Now let's right-click to create an appending board. I'll quickly creating it. I want to have a queue of items that will appear when the main board items are cleared. The same as in the main board, I can use both chunks and fixed assets. Let's add red to appear the first, second, and sixth. Save it. Now let's create a chunk with blue, red, and green with 2:1:3 ratio. 2:1:3. Save it. Great! I can have an appending board as long as it is needed, but here I decided to have 10 assets only. Once they drop to the board, it will start over from the first item. Each board and the level itself have their own properties. You can define the level properties here and communicate the namings with developers. For example, you can have the level objective, moves count, and boosters available for this specific level set from here. You can also input specific properties from here. This is board specific properties. And use them where needed. That's it. Search for more SALTR tutorials.